But we're doing some bonus round questions, some extra innings right now with Will after our Road to Release interview on the Out of the Park Developments channel. And one thing, Will, that really struck me was you were talking about the player development lab, and you were talking about how players train and in real life and trying to capture that. And it reminds me,
Yeah.
me going to a high A ballpark. I think it was short season A when they were doing this, but how the parent club was changing everything within the ballpark. They were mounting cameras everywhere.
Oh yeah,
They
the
had
Hawkeye systems. Yeah,
yes. And then on top
yeah,
of that, all the spin rate machine, all of it, launch angle,
yeah,
all these different things. And you found a way now within this game to really capture the essence of that, right? Because
yeah.
I think for a player like me and for many out there, they want to feel total immersion. They want to make it feel like, okay, this is an authentic baseball experience, but then also capturing the data and everything else to make it super, super realistic. Can you talk about how you balance that presentation, how
Mm.
we talk about those skills, but then do it in a way that's understandable, but then also going, okay, it's pretty clear when I pick this option what it's going to give my player at the end, or at least hopefully.
Hmm. Well, okay. But just on a quick tangent, have you
Yeah,
seen those? If you look at the biomechanical tracking stuff, have you seen those setups? They
it
got like
is. It is
the
crazy.
white balls on, and like they wear like, what is it, like Velcro or something, and they stick these little white balls, and they got like the cameras all about. It's so cool. Anyway, so sorry.
Yeah, but
Just
it is wild. I mean, it is
yeah,
where baseball was, and as Out of the Park has grown through the years, 25 years in the making, the game has changed from that perspective, and I think that you guys are really all in on that and really capturing the essence of that with this player development lab, right?
yeah. I hope so. It is kind of it's like a balance, right? You want to make feature that's um it feels realistic, right? Because obviously it's a game, right? Out of the Park is a game, so you want it to be fun, but you also want to make sure that things don't feel gamey. You want to make sure everything feels like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like that, I understand why that's in the game, right? It's how it is in real life, and so you kind of get these different programs, and I don't think we explicitly say what is going to happen in the program, but you can pretty much understand it. So I think some of the programs are called like quality of contact, for example, and then it'll describe the what the player would work on, how they would want to work on that, and then in the end, you kind of expect them to get a rating increase in whatever has to do with quality of contact, right? Like BABIP, for example. And so they'll go through this program, and at the end, you'll get like an email that'll say, if they successfully completed it, if they didn't, if they were really good, if they were really bad, and then it will be like, this is what they worked on while they were there. This is kind of how it went. This is why it went this way. And then kind of in the background, you have the scout. Like I mentioned, they do the players when they get put in the lab, they go under this initial assessment for like 5 days or something. And then when they finish the initial assessment, you'll have like a scouting report on them. And then when they finish the lab, you'll get another scouting report on them. So if you really want to dive into the numbers, you can just check in the scouting reports. But that's all kind of hidden behind the layer of like realism, where, oh, like he's working on this, he improved this because he unlocked his front side or something. You know what I mean?
I I love it because I'm fascinated by it because it kind of, if you're not familiar with this aspect of baseball, it's kind of unlocking that for us now as players of Out of the Park, which I think adds another layer of believability. For
Yeah.
you, Will, with the game, with your involvement with Out of the Park, were you drawn in because of a love of coding, of being a developer, a love of baseball, or a little bit of both?
Actually, it was because I was in love of Out of the Park. It was love of the Out of the Park baseball. I mean, I also love baseball and I love coding, but yeah, I started on, what was it called? IOOTP, like
Hmm.
the really old phone app or whatever.
Oh, don't call
Uh,
that really old. That's not too far
sorry,
ago. I guess I've been around a while.
The somewhat old one that existed before I joined the company.
Sure.
But I would be playing that on like road trips or whatever to high school baseball games, for example. Um, I kind of grew up with the game. That's why I wanted to come work here because I love the game. But I mean, I also played baseball. I played JV baseball
Still
at
baseball.
college. Yeah, it's true. But I wasn't the greatest. But you know, it's the effort that counts, I suppose.
Would you play? What position?
A pitcher.
Okay. And
Yeah.
starter, reliever, and what was your repertoire?
Well, it depends. I was much better in high school, but then I took a couple years off before university, and so when I came back, I wasn't as good. But in high school, I suppose I was kind of like a fastball, changeup, knuckle curve guy. Um, I was okay. I think I topped in high school at 84 on fastball. Wasn't anything crazy, but my changeup I thought was my best pitch, and my knuckle curve was pretty good too. But they had me stop throwing the knuckle curve because the catchers weren't able to catch the ball, and I also didn't know where it was going a lot of the time. So,
well, that's the whole point of the knuckle curve. You're not supposed to know where it goes.
yeah, I suppose. But when it's on the backstop, that's not the best outcome.
And I see some instruments behind you. Is that a guitar and a
Yeah,
violin behind you?
yeah, not mine though.
Oh, is
That's
that
my
right? Okay.
fiance's. Yeah,
Okay. So there is a little bit of everything in your household, though. There's science, there's
yeah.
athletics, and there's the arts, right?
What we got behind me? Yeah, I got a pile of books. Yeah, that's pretty much everything there is.
Yeah.
And dog.
And a
Dog
dog.
locked in
All
the
right.
other room. Yeah.
For anybody who is interested, because I think there were some people whose ears perked up probably when you said it was out of your love of this game that drew you in. People are going to be watching going, oh, I would love to work for Out of the Park Developments as well. Or maybe there's another game or another thing that I have a passion for that I would love to work for this company someday. What would be your advice to somebody who's kind of thinking that right now?
I mean, just reach out. The way I joined the company was I found a post on the forum about them looking for help for a different position, I think. And it was also like 3 years old at that point. But I still just kind of reached out, and that was kind of how I got the whole thing set up. So if you want, if you would love to do this, please reach out to like Marcus or somebody like that. I'm sure you could find this in the post that I found a while ago, which had the contact email for people.
Well, how do you play the game? I mean, you played mobily, you said, in bus trips, right? But you still play now, right? How do you play the game?
I'm a GM only type guy
Okay.
in franchise mode. I don't usually go in to manage games out. Maybe I'll do it in like the postseason or something. But I'm a big fan of GM only. Back in the day, I would always play fictional games. I would like try to draft the best team possible. That was back in the day when I don't know if you remember, but there was like closers with like 80 stamina and like nasty stuff, and you could just draft all closers for your rotation. Definitely not anymore in the game, but
you guys nipped that in the bud pretty well.
I wasn't there nipping the bud. That was back when I was still in high school or whatever. So, but yeah, nowadays I tend to just play, like a standard MLB game. I'll play the Jays a lot because my favorite team. But sometimes I'll try to go for a challenge. I'll go with the A's or I don't know, some team like that I can try to rebuild.
All right. I can't let you go without asking you about the player development lab. And if you found some ways, some tricks to kind of beat the system a little bit where you're seeing this and like, okay, it's kind of a perfect storm between this manager or this kind of setup. What's a hack you would find? Not manipulating it, but what's your advice if you want to get the best bang for your buck in identifying the right skills to develop your players in?
Well, let's see. I would avoid putting guys that are mostly developed in there. So yeah, there's a chance that they can increase potential in the ratings, but it's very slim, right? That's like the outlier, super like critical success type thing. So I would avoid putting guys that are mostly fully developed in there for certain programs, right? For the ones that have like a current potential, you can put them in for stamina, or you can put them in to increase velocity, but I would typically avoid putting a guy in who's already good at contact for a contact program. I mean, sounds obvious, but just putting it out there. And then I would personally focus on my best prospects, maybe my top two. I would also focus on guys that are close to being MLB ready. I would focus on, like that reliever that you think with third pitch could be slotted into a starting rotation. And I would also focus on free agents because I think you have time at the end of when the offseason starts to draft free agents and then put them through one of the major programs. It was kind of designed that way so that you could sign guys that you saw have potential if they, like, I don't know, develop another pitch or increase their velocity or something like that. So those are the kind of people that I would focus on personally.
Now, I'm also a big fan of historical replays. If you go back to like the 1920s,
Yeah.
before Babe Ruth goes into, and maybe this is a hard example to bring up, but pitcher converted to hitter, all those things. Are there?
Yeah.
Is there a sandbox for you to play in within this game where you can develop players in the past and have some fun in how that would play out? Or perhaps Tony Gwynn, if you want to see if you could turn him loose as a power hitter. Those things, are those options on the table?
Yeah, so the development lab is available in historical games. It's just, I think we call it something different. We call it just like a practice facility or something, because it wouldn't make sense to talk about a lab in 1940.
No raps for Babe Ruth in 1927, right?
Yeah, so it's called something different, but it's still there.
Awesome. All right. Well, I know the first thing you're going to do when Out of the Park 25 comes out is you're going to run yourself through the player development lab. You're going to find yourself a catcher, first of all, that can catch a knuckle curve, and then maybe up the velo a little bit.
I don't think I throw that anymore. I think I give it up.
But you can always rewind back to the high school days. All right. Will, thank you so much. It's been great catching up with you, learning about Out of the Park 25, and continued success for you. This dream job, you get to work for a company that you grew up playing the game, and now you get to work for this company, and we wish you nothing but success.
Thank you.